Hi, it's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky back again with my plans and pans. Well, this is August 28th, and it is also the 57th anniversary of the March on Washington that was led by Dr. Martin Luther King and where he gave his famous I Have a Dream speech. It's also the place where John Lewis, the youngest person to speak, gave his speech, and he was the last survivor of the speakers at that march, and we miss him so very, very much. The name of this march in Washington is "Get Your Knees Off My Neck," Commitment March. That's what they're calling it. Why? Well, certainly it's in memory of George Floyd, but it's also in recognition of things that have happened subsequently. You know, the whole world watched this cold-blooded murder of a police officer with his knee on the neck of George Floyd until he died. And now we are suffering and agonizing here in my community, in my hometown where I sit, in Evanston, Illinois. We saw the shooting of, thank goodness, not the murder of, Jacob Blake, who grew up in Evanston and went to the junior high just right down the street from me, and recently moved to Kenosha, Wisconsin, where this took place, where he was shot 7 times by the police. Jacob Blake was shot in the back as he was walking toward his car, in which 3 of his young children were sitting. Imagine that. And what we know right now about Jacob Blake is that he is likely paralyzed. Now, why did this make such a difference in Evanston, in addition to the fact that he grew up here? His grandfather was a minister at the Ebenezer AME Church and a leader in the community. We had a gathering of about 200 people just a couple of days ago across the street from the Jacob Blake Manor, which is a senior housing project named for his grandfather, who was very involved in affordable housing, particularly for seniors. We understand that when Jacob Blake, the younger, was in the hospital, where he is, of course, still, they had to air vac him to Milwaukee because though he was shot there, there was no way to take care of him there in Kenosha, that he was, even until just a few hours ago, handcuffed to the hospital bed. I'm so outraged by that. We have to have a full investigation of this, because why was this man who was shot and likely unable to ever walk again handcuffed to his bed? Some more bad news. There were militia with assault weapons in the vicinity, and a 17-year-old young man who had one of these assault weapons shot and killed 2 people in Kenosha. Lauren Underwood, my colleague in the House, has called for a full investigation of this, because we understand, as of now, that the police in Kenosha were actually congratulating them, saying thank you over a bullhorn to the militia people who were shooting to kill. It's just amazing that they also, we are told, handing out water to them, even as yet another Black man was shot. So we have a long way to go, my friends. Black lives do matter, and the systemic racism that we see in our country. You know that that Congress did pass the Justice and Policing Act that the Senate has not passed, which would prohibit many of the things that lead to these deaths. at the hands of the police. But so we're going to continue to demand investigations and get the full story. We also want to talk to you a little bit more, as usual, about the coronavirus. Things are not great in Illinois, but as I think I've told you several times, I've been really focusing in on nursing homes. And what we know is that in nursing homes, the residents and staff represent about 12% of the deaths that have occurred in Illinois. No, 12% of the positive cases that have happened in Illinois have been related to nursing homes. But about 55% of the deaths have occurred in nursing homes. We have a serious problem here. Illinois now has confirmed 7,977 deaths total. Those numbers, unfortunately, are higher than the average that we've had in the past, about 19 deaths per day, and over the past 13 days. So we want to obviously get a handle on this for everyone in the state of Illinois. And you know, I've talked to you about this before. Be careful, stay home. If you go out, wear a mask, keep social distancing, wash your hands, all the precautions. But we want to take a special hard look at what is going on in nursing homes where so many people are dying of the coronavirus. I also wanted to tell you that worldwide, 24.2 million cases and over 826,000 deaths. Almost 200,000 of those deaths are, very soon it'll be 200,000, are here in the United States of America. We're still raking up the worst numbers in the world when it comes to the coronavirus. And we obviously have to do more and have more federal leadership in taking control of this. So I also wanted to mention that this week on the 26th of August is called Women's Equality Day. Why? Because it was the passage and the ratification of the 19th Amendment, where women finally got the vote. But let me amend that sentence by saying, really, it was white women who got that vote, because in the South, the Jim Crow laws, all the ways that women and men really were prevented from exercising a right to vote. So it took the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, to finally say unequivocally that all Americans, regardless of race, have the right to vote. But nonetheless, this is a landmark, the passage of the 19th Amendment, which did state that right to vote would not be abridged because of gender. I wanted to also talk to you a bit about the Postal Service. So last week, the House of Representatives, last Saturday actually, passed the bill delivering for America. Delivering the mail is what we're really talking about. And making sure that the Postal Service will roll back the kinds of changes they made to deliberately sabotage the mail delivery, that took away machines that could count the paper mail rapidly and in great numbers, took away our beloved corner mailboxes in many cases, and ended over time for many of our postal workers who want to work. Well, again, this week the phone has been ringing off the hook of people who have failed to get the medicine that they have ordered, packages that have not been delivered, or somehow are labeled mail is being held by request of the customer when no such thing actually happened. This is kind of a new wrinkle that we heard about this week. So the postal workers want to work overtime. They want to deliver the mail in a timely way. And I think I've told you before, we're hearing from people that are afraid that they're going to be getting or are getting late payments because the bill didn't arrive in time, or can't pay the bill because the check didn't arrive on time. And this is just a travesty. We still know, and I know from the calls I'm getting, that the Postal Service is the most beloved of all the agencies of government because it's so important in every single community. And that's what I don't really get. Why isn't Mitch McConnell calling this Delivering for America Act, calling up the bill? Because in red states and rural states, they really depend on the mail, sometimes more than even in our cities. And so we're going to continue to fight for the Postal Service, not just because of the prescriptions, etc., but because we want to be able to have everyone vote by mail if they choose to do it that way. And we are concerned that, and this bill also, by the way, included $25 billion for the Postal Service so that they can continue to conduct their work. But we want to make sure that people can vote any way they choose. Early voting, by mail, or at the polls on Election Day, November 3rd. Anyway, it should be safe and it should be available. So we're hoping that Mitch McConnell will listen to his own constituents and listen to his members, who I'm sure, that is the senators, who are getting the same kind of calls. Unemployment, we know that we're still hearing a lot from people that are unemployed, and we really have to worry now about those people who are being hit with the natural disasters in Texas, in Louisiana, forest fires on the West Coast. And many of these people are not only suffering from evacuations, from such terror in their communities because of the natural disasters, but they are also not getting unemployment insurance, and we're going to continue to push for that. I want to talk to you about the census, but I'm not going to really nag you today. I'm just going to tell you that this week the Census Bureau is holding an Asian Week of action to try and encourage focus particularly on the Asian community. And we have a pan-Asian community, people from everywhere throughout Asia living in my district and all over our community. And we want to make sure that that Asian Americans register for the census, or not citizens. If you are undocumented, everybody needs to be counted. Unfortunately, in the Asian community, we're below our target right now, so we certainly want you to go out. But that holds for everyone. We are below our target, and the President of the United States has called short the period of time, you're not surprised, are you, that we have to the end of September to finally get everybody to be counted. And so please do that. This is about your community, about the money that comes to this community, about how many representatives you have in Congress is determined by the census. So we certainly want you to sign up. I guess I am nagging again. Oh well. And then this is, it's been 63 days since this idea of Russian bounties being paid to the Taliban to kill Americans, and we still have had no word from the president, nothing from the White House on what they think about this allegation that has reliable sources in our intelligence community that these bounties are being paid and that Americans are being targeted with Russian money to the Taliban. Again, this is unacceptable and really treasonous if this is going on, and the president has said nothing about it. So it sounds more like pans than plans today, although I hope you are, if not virtually, if not in person, virtually supporting the marchers who are calling for positive change in our country. And I don't know what if you watched any of the conventions, but they are over now, and really the elections are in our hands. Elections really matter. Exercise your right to vote. And thanks, I'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.